Wow, look at those plasma beans go. I've just been sitting around watching them since the last video, and at first I remained convinced that they're just water droplets, but then after the 4th or 5th day without sleep, I started to wonder, if it's water, why does it move so much? Or so little? Or something? And how does more of it keep showing up? That doesn't seem physically possible. Water doesn't just magically fall from the sky, and with that realization, I became a true believer. But then, unfortunately, I fell asleep, and when I woke up again, my mind was closed and ignorant again, and I haven't managed to experience the truth again since. It's too bad. I thought I was cured.
If there's any doubt in your mind about whether or not interdimensional travel is possible, I hope this video helps open your eyes to the fact that yes, interdimensional travel is possible and it is happening, and it's appearing in our skies all around the world.
Nope. But I got plenty of coffee, so I'll get back to you in 3 or 4 days. But just to expand on that thought a little bit, let's say somehow I've been wrong this entire time and you've been right, and this really is some kind of floating plasma web phenomenon appearing in cities around the globe. How do we get from there to it's alive and it traveled here from another dimension? I mean, if it were some weird new discovery, people discover new, poorly understood phenomena all the time that doesn't actually establish any of the other stuff you're saying, and you haven't provided any arguments for it, and then you asserted with no evidence that the plasma webs came through those portals. You didn't even link up the plasma webs to the portals in any way at all. The only connection was that you happened to see both of them in camera feeds you found online, and not even in the same feed. The portals were in one feed, and the plasma webs were in different feeds from different countries. So do you have any reason to believe all this additional stuff, or are you just taking it for granted? You don't need to answer that.
It's undeniable. How can you look at this and then say that they don't exist?
Gina, if you ever come to me and ask that question sincerely instead of rhetorically, I promise I will explain it all over again, yet again, and in much more detail. Fat chance of that ever happening, though, because you can't get past your own reason for believing they do exist.
I know that we're not alone. I feel it inside here.
Exactly. That's the exact reason I'm referring to. None of this was ever about the compelling evidence of water droplets on camera lenses, incorrectly focused cameras, JPEG compression. None of that matters fundamentally to you. You're unreachable by evidence, and you always will be until you stop prioritizing your feelings over observable reality in your search for the truth. And I don't think that's likely to ever happen, which is fine by me, really. I just want to see what wacky thing you come up with next.
I know it, and so do a lot of other people. And then there are some who are just sitting on the fence. You need to get off that fence.
Fence sitters get a lot of flack from a lot of people, and I think a lot of it is unjustified. Sometimes if you don't feel like you have enough information, or you don't understand how it all fits together well enough, or whatever the reason happens to be, staying on the fence is the best choice for you, because otherwise there's like a 50-50 shot that you come down on the wrong side of it and get eaten by Harambe. But in this case, just imagine being a fence sitter on this. I'm not sure who's that indecisive. Maybe there are a few people, I don't know who they could possibly be though. But then again, back in my naive younger days when I existed in blissful ignorance about the absolute state of society, I never would have thought anyone could come off the fence on the other side of this either. So, yeah, my mind is made of pain.
You need to get off that fence. Because our world is going to be changing very soon.
This video is going to be changing very soon. Next! Oh, this again? Skipping. Hey, maybe I'll get through all 60 after all. I mean, I'm already at number 17. Next! No, that's the same thing again. With 28,000 views, how are so many people fooled by rain?
There is a lot of activity happening in the other dimensions. Interdimensional activity.
Good point. I can't think of any other explanation, so that's gotta be it. Man, interdimensional activity makes people dumb. Next.
Yeah, bam.
Sure, bam.
And I know there's people who are trying to dismiss it. Well, what my friend Mia lives in the Netherlands, in Holland, or whatever you want to call it. And she checked out this place, and it was like a solar, it was like it has old solar panels or something on it.
And therefore I shouldn't dismiss it when I already know what it is and how to make my own one of it?
And she said perhaps maybe they were trying to get the energy from the solar panels or something also, but there's a lot of electricity stored there. But
oh, well, if something solar panel, something electricity, then water droplets must be interdimensional aliens. Of course, now I understand. Next. Alright, we've got water droplets at the Eiffel Tower, next. Water droplets at the Eiffel Tower, next. 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 Ooh, Dublin. Maybe that's why James Randi's there. Still don't care though, next. Amsterdam, next. Dublin again, next. Baden-Baden, next. Pink Island? Next, what is web plasma? I will share the answer. Oh wow, finally something that isn't just videos of water on lenses. Actually some kind of explanation of how she thinks it works. Maybe at least there'll be some more considered arguments here that I can address.
a lot of people have been asking what is web plasma, and I am going to bring you what I have found out. I'm going to share it. I'm going to put a video together.
Wait, you're going to? So this isn't the video. This is a video announcing that you're thinking about making a video to explain it. I honestly can't believe how much of people's time you're willing to waste.
And it is absolutely, when I heard the explanation of it, it resonated with my spirit. It really did.
Oh, good to know that whenever we get to see the explanation, it won't even be your own idea. Really, it's important to rely on the experts for these kind of things.
We're going to have an answer for it, and it's undeniable, the answer.
Of course it is. Blah blah aliens, blah blah spirits, search your feelings, you know it to be undeniable. That's my guess. And luckily, as it turns out, the next video we have to look at is the explanation, so let's see how my guess holds up.
What is web plasma? Well, Roger from Mud Fossil University has a pretty good scientific explanation about web plasma.
Mud fossil? I thought that guy was all about rocks and giant vaginas and mountains, that kind of thing.
We're going to get into some vaginas. It's a vagina. It's a gigantic vagina. And then, of course, you have the vaginal entry, and that's the vagina. You see that? That's a vagina. That's the tissue that's inside of a vagina. And this part right there is the vaginal seam. And this is absolutely a vagina. And this, I believe, is a vagina. You know I'm big into vaginas.
I didn't know he was a member of the cult of camera incompetence, too. Cool, let's hear it.
So we're going to take a look at Roger. He has over 50 years of studying this kind of stuff.
If you were smarter, you'd take that as a dire warning, Gina. You think you'll still somehow be confused by rain and clouds and camera focus and birds after 50 years of studying the way you do? Well, yeah, and I'd be amazed if there's anything you get right by then.
All right, I am not going to honk my own horn, or I guess they call it blow your own horn, but I've heard it both ways. Now, I did this stuff, I mean, and you can see that I didn't stop doing it. I've done it forever. Now, and I always had problems. I said, no, you guys are not right. You're not right. I went through so many calculations, so many things to show that it's, you know, I understood what they were saying. Let me put it this way. I didn't just jump and say, no, you're not right, you're not right. I figured out that they're not right because they weren't right. It was as simple as that. They weren't right. And I went through all these dipoles and, you know, I mean, this is serious stuff.
Dipoles? What? Serious stuff or not? Are you sure this guy's even talking about the same thing we are, Gina?
This was not just a 15-minute guess at, you know, this and that. I looked at all of the different ways that molecules attach, and they were right about a lot of stuff. I have no issue with, once you get outside the nucleus, they're not completely wrong.
The nucleus? So he's talking about something inside the nucleus of atoms. Something about the nucleus that determines how molecules attach together, something dipole. Okay, apparently the way the plasma beams work is they have something to do with the nuclei of atoms and magnetism. I was partially right about my electromagnetic guess, I suppose, but what's the inside of the nucleus got to do with it? And to be honest, I'm already checking out here, because the basic first step of just checking the water thing hasn't even been done yet. That's the simplest explanation, but more importantly, it's already been demonstrated. You know how to do it, all you have to do is try it and then eat your words. So all this other stuff here, you're kinda getting ahead of yourself. And by kinda, I mean 50 years.
But they don't understand what an electron's made out of.
Gina, you haven't even got past the first step, flicking water at a camera, let alone a discussion of the fundamental nature of electrons. Why are you wasting my time with this?
And they don't understand so much, it's just incredible.
I don't even know which the they refers to here, but I've seen a bit of Mudfossil's channel, so it's amusingly ironic nonetheless.
And this is 50 years ago. Now, this is the thing I'm most proud of. It goes on and on and on.
Yes, it goes on and on and on. Plenty of quantity, not sure about the quality, since you're not even telling me what it is. Gina, I thought we were getting a scientific explanation of the plasma webs. That's what the video's called. Scientific explanation to what is web plasma. And instead all we're doing is watching Mudfossil honk his own horn while insisting that he's not. Your video is 17 minutes long. Please, tell me there's more to it than this. I don't want to go back to just watching the rainfall. That's hardly more interesting than watching grass grow, which I'm sure is caused by the plasma beans gently tugging it out of the dirt.
I'm going to show you because I'm proud of it, and who the hell cares? I'm bragging. I did all this stuff, and I kept going, and I kept going, and I kept going, and I kept going.
And you kept going, and you kept going, and you kept going some more. Well, I fast-forwarded to see if Gina ever actually says anything.
Okay, my friends, Roger once again, Mudfossil University with, apparently, I'm being told this is a worldwide phenomenon.
Oh, well, hell, finally he's actually talking about the water droplets. And meanwhile, Gina's just dipped out of her own video. I guess that shows how important this is to her.
They're seeing these webs of light everywhere. Nobody can understand what's going on.
Nobody can understand what's going on. Nobody.
Yeah, the reason people are seeing these plasma webs is they're obviously vaginas.
And they flip around like this, and they bridge from the ground to light sources and all kinds of things, different colors and flashing webs. Now, the only thing it does explain it is electron flood theory.
Only. The only thing that explains it. The only one is electron flood theory. 50 years of research, apparently, into the raindrops. 50 years! Hey, viewer out there, what could you accomplish in 50 years? I bet you could eat so many Cheetos and play so many video games and get so fat. In other words, you could accomplish a lot more than Roger did. Gina, where'd you run off to? Why did you leave me alone with this strange old man? Okay, I checked, and this goes on for another, 12 minutes. So basically, what Gina's done here, mostly, is mirror a video, and she's got 13,000 views off Mudfossil's work. We'll call it work. I sure hope she checked with him first. Now, the really funny thing about all this is, you remember how earlier I asked Gina why she thinks these plasma webs aren't just some weird phenomenon, but in fact, living beings that traveled here from a different dimension? Well, Mudfossil doesn't exactly support her claims, to say the least.
This is electron plasma. And what that means is in the air, there's a ton of extra electrons, which normally would not be just floating freely in the air. They would have come to the Earth slowly, sort of. You know how you touch a water pipe and electricity goes into the ground? Well, it always is migrating towards the ground. However, in this case, there's a ton of extra electrons in the way, so the electrons coming down to get to ground are bashing into these, creating these lights. It's an accumulation of excess electrons in the air. Something is pushing electrons in. Well, what would that be? A light, a transmitter, a Tesla coil, a Van de Graaff generator, a light source, an electron pushing source of something.
It doesn't exactly sound much like a description of the light as some kind of interdimensional living being, does it? What he's saying is that he thinks a piece of technology is causing a high flow of electrons that's producing light. What he's disagreeing with physicists on is not whether there's living plasma webs. It's stuff about the nature of particles, electrons, light, that kind of thing. Nothing like what you're saying, Gina. So if you believe his explanation, how do you square it with your own? Or do you?
You could consider him an expert in this area.
I suppose I could. I don't, especially not after watching that absolute joke of a video, but I could.
So it's not just mere water on a lens. No, it's so much more than that. So much more.
Checkmate, atheists?
So I would encourage you to please keep your mind open and think outside that little box. For those who don't want to think outside that box, Think outside of that box.
Gina, seriously, just because you desperately try to believe that every boring little thing you see is some kind of earth-shaking discovery does not mean that you're thinking outside the box. That is your box. A tiny little box so opaque that you can't even see raindrops when they're sitting 1 inch outside of it. Thinking outside the box is not about what you think, it's about how you think. Believing silly things does not make you open-minded or creative. You're suffering from severe tunnel vision and a total obsession with reaching one particular kind of conclusion, just because you feel that that's how things should be. Just because it makes you feel important to publish these videos and go, wow, look at the discovery I made. Look around and see the walls. Anyway, that was video number 32, and I'm definitely not going to make it to 60. 32 is pretty good, though. But I've already pretty much said all I want to say about 10 times over. My head is honestly hurting right now from trying to understand how people with reasoning abilities this poor even manage to access the internet, let alone feed themselves without getting a fork in the eyeball. So I'll just pick one that looks interesting and finish up with that.
And they are coming from the lights, okay? Because I think the lights that they use, which are for industrial use, they are the high efficiency plasma lights, the HEP lights, that they use radio frequency to stimulate a contained gas and create a small but very bright ball of plasma.
You watch, I betcha this will be the next thing like the 5G conspiracy. Apparently these high-efficiency plasma lights are pretty efficient for outdoor and commercial use. I don't know a lot about them in terms of overall feasibility, cost, how widely they're deployed at this point or anything. But let's say maybe they start being deployed really widely as streetlights and stuff, and a bunch of city councils are gonna have to sit through these bewildering meetings where random members of the public start screaming about how the lights are gonna summon interdimensional living plasma beings that took over the Vatican. I can just imagine the looks on their faces. I almost want it to happen just for that. Watch out for it. Honestly, I know I say this all the time, but how are people this gullible about technology? Like, sure, worst case scenario, a new street lamp technology could have pretty major problems that need to be talked about. Maybe they start overheating, or start fires, or spark, or have small explosions or something. Probably not, but they're at least maybe realistic concerns. They're within the realm of reality. But I'm pretty sure the lamps are not going to result in our cities being overrun by self-replicating interdimensional monsters. But if we get to the point that these lights are installed everywhere and we do in fact become the slaves of plasma beans, I'll eat my words. But that's a risk I'm very willing to take. In fact, if I'm wrong about it, I hereby formally give Gina Maria Colvin Hill and any one of her viewers full permission to feed me to the plasma monsters as a live sacrifice. I am willing to sign a contract to that effect. Might be kind of hard to do, though, because in the clips where there's people walking around, the people don't even seem to notice anything unusual. Nobody's running, they just kind of wander around. I mean, the Vatican footage is sped up, so the people all look like they're moving fast, but they're just sort of ambling back and forth across the screen in random directions. There's no sign they're running, they look very much like they're just walking. I don't know, maybe they're just awkwardly trying to ignore the monsters, like somebody farting in an elevator.
You know, we're looking at a familiar type of a picture, but did you know the Earth had a plasma sheet? I didn't know that.
Quelle surprise! But after the lamps, you seemed so knowledgeable about all things plasma. Oh, your scientific reputation. It is ruined!
And you know, since we're talking about plasma and how it couldn't quite possibly be, which I really do think it is, living, I think it's important to note that Earth has plasma surrounding it, and there's some plasma behind it.
Why? I'm aware that plasma exists, it's just a state of matter, it exists all over the bloody place. So why would it be important to mention that it also exists in space? We know. It exists down here on Earth too. If it didn't, it'd be pretty hard to make those plasma lamps, wouldn't it? Is the mere existence of plasma supposed to somehow support your claim of living interdimensional self-reproducing plasma beings that are totally undetectable by any means except outdoor cameras when it's raining? Is that the point?
So if I was to move this over here to the side like that, it is so cool, you all. Look at this. So this is the plasma sphere right there in that area. And this is the Van Allen radiation belt.
Seeing this, I might almost have some hope for you, if I didn't know better. You're acting as if you're learning some basic scientific facts, and you seem really enthusiastic about it. I could take that as a really good sign that maybe you can eventually think your way out of the box if you keep learning. But unfortunately, I know better, because there's no genuine curiosity here. There's no will to understand, and your excitement has nothing to do with the spirit of actual scientific discovery. The only will on display here is to find something that supports your pre-existing idea. The only excitement you're showing is over the fact that you think you've done it. You're not going to think your way out of the box like this. You're just using this as a way to seal the box up even tighter. It's the same attitude as everyone else in the history of my channel. Start with whatever you want to believe, and then cherry pick bits and pieces of information that make it easier for you to do so. And everything else goes in the garbage. All the context, all the details, all the actual evidence. The only thing you want to keep is whatever little nugget of information you've plucked out of its place that makes you feel better about believing whatever you want to believe. It's a sad fact that so many people care so much about what they want that they don't much care about what they've got. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please give the video a like and click subscribe. Sign up to the email list, list.logicked.com. Videos are one day early there. You can get even earlier access and exclusive videos and so on by supporting on Patreon or Subscribestar. A huge thank you to the supporters, and I'll see you next time.